Hey everybody, this is Larry. This is me going over Q3 of the weekly contest 470 remove K balance substring. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join me on Discord. Let me know what you think about this one. I think for this problem, I don't know that it is. I think there are a couple of ideas, right? First is that n is equal to 10 to the fifth. So, I think the core idea though is that initially you want to try to think about k is equal to 1 case. And the k is equal to 1 case is a very well-known problem. I mean, you may or may not be familiar with it, but there are at least multiple Leetcode problems that are based on that idea. So hopefully, if it's new to you, to be frank, you just need to practice more. I think, you'll come across it if you did, right? And then now you can think about, well, okay, now I know what the idea is for k is equal to 1. How do I generalize it a little bit more? Well, let's put if k is equal to 2, and then you kind of see the pattern, and then you just figure it out. That's part one, right? Now you're able to prove yourself, okay, we can do the same k stack thing, so we should be good, right? But then now the problem is, oh, it's too slow, because if k is big, then if k is like n over 4 or something like that, I don't know, right? Then you would check every time, and then it just becomes like an n square type situation where n is 10 to the fifth, which is going to be too slow. Or I guess if it's just all left parens, then you always keep, actually, I guess if this, depending on how you write it, obviously, but if you have only right parens, then you always keep on checking the previous ones, etc., right? Well, so the idea then is to kind of figure out invariants, right? Things that do not change. And the idea here is that, well, there are only two inputs that you get. So from that, you always should have an idea about thinking about finite state automata, right? Because you only have two inputs so the states are not that dramatic. But, okay. But then I think the key idea really is just that now you want to be able to, think about the worst case, right? And the worst case may be something like, a lot of, what did it? Auto did it for me. That's actually unintentional, which is kind of awkward. But yeah, so you have something like this, right? And then, maybe k is equal to a big number. And then, and then now this is not matched yet, not done. So you look up a lot, right? Well, the thing is that you just try to think, well, is there any way that I don't have to, that I could skip all these and maybe like the equivalent amount here, or not skip, but just check very quickly, right? And the idea behind that is just compression in a way, or merging, if you want to think of it, is that, well, if two cells have one, then we can just represent this as, one right times, I don't know, 20 or something like that, right? And then as a result, then now you have a different thing to analyze. And that's basically the core idea behind this problem. I end up solving this in about 4 minutes. I don't know why it took that long, actually. But yeah. You start with same stack as before, right? And the only thing that is different is that instead of storing one character or even a level or something like that, it contains the character, the left parens or the right parens, and the count that is true. I mean, one thing that I would say is that it's easy to think and overthink this one, right? But like I said, the key thing is realizing that there are only two different possible inputs. One is the left parens, and you can kind of think of it, right? If you have a left parens, okay, well, actually I did it another way, right? Which is that I always put things on top of the stack. So if you have a new input, you either put it on the stack or, or you either put a new thing on the stack or you just increment the previous thing, right? And then now I just keep the invariant of, if there is another way, maybe a more English way to write this is, we see this on top, and then the second top, if you will. So on top, and if we see this on second top, if you want to call it that, then we could just get rid of all of them. And yeah. Yeah. So I think one thing to, and there are a lot of, yeah. Sorry, I got a little bit. I was like, wait, but this could be wrong, and I'm like, no. Remember your invariant. So even I get confused a little bit. Not gonna lie, even as I'm explaining it. But the key thing to note is that this thing, right? This thing can only happen if, because we always add, right? We always add to the end. This can only be true if the last item is close parentheses, right? But as a result of that, that means that if this pops off, future ones can merge, but we don't. But that's done, right? Everything is done on the top, so there's no I think what I want to say is that this is a while stack. And I did it this way because during the contest I actually wasn't thinking about it. It's just very similar to things that I've done. But now that I think about it, it doesn't have to be a while. It could be an if statement, right? Because it's not in the future is the future. It'll come and it'll power on, right? But this can only be true if the last item is, and there are k of them, right? That part is more obvious, but maybe like a thing that's built on that needed to be stated is that there cannot be. Actually, that's not true. I was going to say that there cannot be more than k of right parentheses. That's not quite true because obviously you could just start with a string that just have right parentheses. But what I mean is that that can and match left parens, right? Because you cannot quote unquote catch up, right? So if it closes previous left parens, fine. If it doesn't, well, you're done because there's nothing that could come in the future that catches it up to have more than k of these. I mean, right? So that's kind of the idea. I want to say I think this is right. Let's run it so that I'm not lying to you. Yeah, okay, so it's accepted. So yeah, so it doesn't even have to be a while loop. But yeah, I think these are kind of what I I think when you solve problems like this, you try to look for what I've been saying, which is invariants and things that don't change. And it turns out that after one iteration, it still doesn't change, which is that afterwards, what are the conditions, right? After the invariant at this stage of code. Well, it is true that basically, you have either left on top or do on top with less than k, well, just less than k, right? And that's kind of the idea with this one. And I think one of the ideas that you can easily mess up if you overthink yourself, which I do a lot. So I'm just more or less talking about myself, where you could think about double merging and so forth, right? And here, of course, if you're all able to merge, then we pop. This is the right parentheses ring, and keep in mind that even though I wrote, oh no, I didn't. I wrote this is exactly k, and it can only ever be exactly k because that is literally the if statement here. And then now we pop off the second top, which is the left parens, and then we just subtract them because we got rid of k of them, so we just subtract and keep on top. If it's 0, we just remove it, right? And that's it. And then at the end, we get the character and the count, p for parentheses, I suppose. We put it in an array, counting, and then we just join it into a string. Yeah, because each character in the original string just either does one pop, one push, or now that we change it to a while, from a while statement to an if statement, it's even more obvious. We can do at least 2 more pops, but each character can only do 1 pop at a time, right? Or total, not even at a time. So, yeah. So this is linear time, linear space, and that's it. That's all I have for this one. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and you can watch me solve it live in the contest now. Answer, please. It's very easy to mess up that one, I feel like. Especially since I should probably have checked a little bit more, to be frank. But okay, let's go. Okay. K is equal to 1 is standard. If k is more than 1, then yeah. Not hard, but I have to think about it to make sure. I think this is fine. I think that's right. This has to be true, but something like that. Just wait for this, but I want to check a few things real quick. Yeah, that's what I thought, but also want to maybe. Okay, that's also good. YOLO submit. Hopefully no wrong answer. Okay. I feel like that one is easy to get wrong as well. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join me on Discord. Let me know what you think about this problem, this contest, everything in between. Stay good, stay healthy, to good mental health. I'll see y'all later and take care. Bye-bye.